entertainer, acrobat, magician, whatever you choose to call him, Hollis Joseph, known best in his native country as Honey Juice, is a performer extraordinaire. Hailing from Trinidad and Tobago, his unique talents have taken him across the globe.
Well, performing on stage, that is a very exciting thing. I feel confident, totally confident. My first performance was professionally, as I would say, was Port of Spain in one of these nightclubs, Mirama nightclub to be exact, where I realized that was a place that catered for a lot of unusual performances, limbo, fire dance, bottle dance, and having a little knowledge of my father's skills, I went and they accepted me, and I was a very good and exciting performer at Mirama.
In 1976, Honey Juice found his niche in entertainment, patterning his skills after his father, who often found ways to entertain his ever-growing family by walking downstairs on his hands and performing tricks whilst balancing on his bicycle.
People never just go to bed, in other words, be on the street late. From the time 6 o'clock, you have to be home. And maybe from about 6 to about 5:30, 7, if so late, Daddy would be teaching you, telling you things, showing you things. He didn't actually hold your hand and tell you, well, look, this is how it is being done, or that is how it's being done. But by him doing this thing over and over and over and over and observing, I was very much interested. So I was more inclined to, grasping this talent from my father. Doing the bicycle over a period of time, my mind just stopped to entertaining. The coconut. As a young fella home, your meals consisted all the time of coconut. Coconut bake, coconut in the callaloo, coconut drops, sugar cake. So my mommy was trying to open a coconut to prepare a meal for us, and that coconut gave her so much trouble because we couldn't find the cutlass, and my mommy keep beating that coconut, and that coconut is no way she gonna get to that coconut. So I developed a kind of hate, because anytime you interfere with somebody, mommy, they doesn't like that at all. So this coconut, I just developed a certain kind of hate for this coconut. So one day I sat and I decided to say, well, I look at dog. My dog was a dog that bite, and people afraid him. So I decided, well, if I bite in the coconut, I'll be able to conquer him. And by taking 1 bite, 2 bite, 3 bite, and today I can teach how to open a coconut for your survival with your teeth.
Honey Juice honed these skills and many others into a professional art form, which earned him the accolade of Caribbean's most unusual performer.
My first performance professionally was very nervous, uncostume-like, because I didn't know how to dress myself to go on stage. It was just a head tie cut up in some African-looking style, which I enjoy very much, and give me that full boost to keep on doing what I'm doing by the response of the audience from the first time. But I can remember a certain time in Mirama, I started balancing a stick on my nose. Sometimes the audience, somebody say, well, why you put something on the stick? So I end up putting a glass on the stick. They say, well, put something on this, under the stick now. I end up putting an ice pick under the stick. So I reached that climax with that piece of art. fork. Now the fork is a thing from the stick. I used to balance the fork, putting the wood part on my nose. Remember the audience? He said, man, we see that too much time. Why you turn it over? No, I didn't turn it over the same time, but it keep worrying me that you have to please the audience. And what it is this man saying? No, in my mind, I thinking, how I'll put it. So, without any practice, the next night I decided to turn it over. Well, I realized it fitting on my eyeball, comfortable. So I say, all I have to make sure that to rest it easy and keep it easy and just balance it, forget the pain. I got you with that. I did that for a while with pain until another member of the audience sometime later down say, man, I can't see you rest it on your face. Put it on one point. Well, that was the next study I had to go through, but you couldn't, it's not something you could have practiced. You had to do it one time. So I decided taking the fork and putting it on one point. But what had happened is that after I put that fork that night, the building had closed for about a month for renovation. So I get chance for my nose to heal back. And when my nose healed back now, putting the fork on my nose, I find that nothing happening, but my whole nose had an abscess. You know, and I treated. But all I do the first time, get the abscess. I did it on the Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday night, did it on the Saturday night, on the abscess, and that was the greatest pain I ever get. But nevertheless, once you get in standing ovation and round of applause, you really don't feel pain, you know, so that is the way how I end up with that, through the incentive of the audience.
Honeydews first performed in Tobago in 1977, where he formed many close friendships and 20 years later made the island his permanent home. We first met at an Independence Day event that was being held here in Tobago. He was performing. I was doing the catering for the event. So most of the time I was in the background, in the kitchen and the usual things. But hearing the reaction of the audience of what was going on in the front, I abandoned the food because I had to go and see what was going on out there.
This was a woman, every weekend she's in my audience, and if I should buy something for me to drink, she was upset. She said that she and she friends with my ability and talent. Her friends and her decided that whatever I need to drink, whatever I need to eat, they was responsible for getting.
Balancing skills, and not only the skill, but it's the things he was balancing with, everyday objects that made this show so spectacular. Like a cutlass, and a garden fork, and a bicycle wheel, part of a fire act that we used, I think it was beer bottles or whatever was handy to create his performance with. I was just blown away. I loved it. It was so unusual. Never seen anything like that before.
And she continuously communicated with me and assisted me in some of the communication with people, do some bookings for me, and she became part of my life.
Subsequently, one thing led to another, and we became closer, and we worked together, and we realised that we were kind of kindred spirits. No stranger to many of Trinidad and Tobago's top night spots. His showings at Carifesta, Best Village competitions, community cultural events, Borrow Day celebrations, Tobago Heritage Festival, Calypso tents, and as a guest artist in Tobago Scouting for Talent, proven that his talent is worthy of the big stage.
I was successful in being a contestant in Scouting for Talent. Can't remember the year, 19 something, but I will provide documents for you if you wish for that. And tell all my friends, because when you're being selected as a contestant, you will be aired over the television and all this sort of thing. Told all my friends about my show coming up tonight on television. Look out for number 5. I even went by Distinguished Home in their present where, we had a special dinner to watch Honey Juice on Scouting for Talent. To my greatest surprise, contestant number 1, contestant number 2, contestant number 3, contestant number 4, contestant number 6, contestant number 7, contestant number 8, and all the rest are contestants. And Honey Juice being contestant number 5, and no certain issues that if you bring it up, you could be victimized as an entertainer. I cannot oppose the television. I didn't know how to quarrel. So, I just leave it just like that. Sometime after, I think they call me to do over the show or something. But, people always tell me that I have unusual qualities. And I feel my greatest unusualness demonstrates itself on that night that I was supposed to appear on the television.
He has performed his acts for church groups and schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago, where children participate and enjoy as a learning experience. Testimonials from school principals commend Honey Juice as a true entertainer for all ages.
The children, they get so excited and crazy at my performances pieces, and that gave me an extra boost, and the children's spirit keep my entertainment alive. School act is a total different act to a club act or a savannah act. The school children, you have to plan your questions properly. Your discipline have to be of the highest. And in school, for your show to be excited, you have to make the children part of the show. And making the children part of the show, you have things like obedience competition. That's the O'Grady competition, which is very exciting. Whenever I say O'Grady, say do something, you do it. Anything beside that, don't do it. And you have prizes for the last person who stays on stage. You also have standing up on a board on a piece of PVC pipe, which is a balance training, or taking a piece of coconut broom, or coconut, what we'll call a coquille, and balance it on your nose. You have biscuit competition. Who could eat 3 salt biscuits before I count 1 to 100? And nobody never won.
An old established one is changing the leaves to money, which they all love, or changing stones to sweets, which the children all love, because they can't work that one out at all. They love it. We took this act to London, initially for a private party, but there too they were so impressed that we actually ended up performing in London's Covent Garden, where they have a huge street theatre thing going on. Yeah? We put on a little hat. People just start throwing money in the hat. So you say, oh God, we're coming back here, we have to come back here. Right? He was only there for about 15 or 20 minutes and walked away with a hat full of money. That's to tell you the sort of appreciation that they were seeing for that. His excellent and eclectic performances have taken him as far as Grenada, Carriacou, US Virgin Islands, and the United Kingdom. But he counted it a true privilege to perform before his own heads of state and be counted among 20 honorees at the Mayor's Ball in the year 2000.
Just recently, in the year, I think it was 2001 or some years, that I felt confident that I was the first person to, within Trinidad and Tobago, to attempt the coconut husking competition, attempting the World Guinness record with my teeth.
In fact, we both went to London and visited the Guinness World Records offices, got the information that was needed to make this happen. At that time, there was nobody actually with a record of husking a coconut with his teeth. So we figured anything we could do would be the record. Ultimately, it took us so long to set up these requirements. We had to find a policeman, we had to find a sportsman, we had to find a venue, we had to have an event for this being done, we had to have proper timing and all of this. So we went through all that and it took a while. So eventually when that was done and it was timed and filled in all the right forms and we sent the information off to Guinness, by the time that got there, somebody else, I believe it was a Mauritian, I'm not sure, had picked us to the post. He got there first. What was truly amazing, and as far as I know, because I lost interest in even looking at the record books after that, the timing for his trials, as they called it, was something like 30 to 32 seconds to open a coconut with his teeth. Hooray! I thought it was wonderful. And he was doing it in 9.6 seconds. We figured he could have husked 3 coconuts in the time this man took to husk 1, and he has got the accreditation.
It had a specific size and a specific weight that they were looking for, but they were very satisfied with the record that I had given them with my coconut. In other words, I made them think of something else.
Initially, we said, right, okay, we're going to go for this again. Could we find a coconut that was bigger than the normal size here in Tobago? No. That went on for almost nearly a year trying to put this together again. So he said, you know what? Why are fighting with them? He said, I know I'm the best. And I agreed with him. If you could husk 3 in the time he's husking 1, and you good with that, I good with that too, we can stop this fight. And that's how that was left. He continues his performances with the Entertainers Calypso Tent and through his shows with the Division of Community Development and Culture. I felt he didn't necessarily agree that some acts were not suitable for certain venues. For example, he was one night performing this wire act where he takes a fairly thick strip of wire and pierces his cheek, opens his mouth, goes through the mouth and comes out the other side, and he then inveigles members of the audience to come up and pull on this thing, pull it through, pull it there, do that, and what have you, right? Freaky, I thought. Quite apart from the fact that I thought it was totally unhygienic, because I don't know where their hands have been and what they're doing or anything else. That one worried me a little. Combined with the fact that I then saw a visitor almost faint in her plate of food, having witnessed this, I thought, no, that one's got to stop. One of the other acts that's disturbing is a wheel and board, where he balances a very short piece of wood on a spherical pipe, which takes a lot of strength in the legs to be able to stand on that balance. Part of his act was to challenge people to come up and attempt to do this themselves, which inevitably resulted in somebody falling flat on their bottom or flat on their back or flat on what have you, okay? Audience loved it, they roared with laughter, but I realized that's dangerous, we can't do that. We don't have any kind of insurance to cover any major injuries, so we put a stop to wheel and board. He still does it, but not encouraging other people to try.
Before most of my performances, I make sure and let the audience know that what I'm doing is a very dangerous thing. Some of them are very dangerous pieces. I would not be able to protect you in a performance, because while I'm performing, you have to give me my space. If you come in my space, I would not see you because I'm not looking for you. Once I mark out my space, I govern my space, I concentrate on what I'm doing so as not to have any damages. I had never had no damages or any, incident with none of my, all the incident was me. I never damaged no member of my audience or, all those dangerous things I'm doing. With my proper concentration and doing what I have to do, this make it very interesting. Now, the only problem with fire is that, you are just human and your skin would burn, your skin would burn. So the technique with fire is that you must know the amount of time you must let that fire burn you without it damaging your skin. I had a lot of scorching and you smell like a wild animal when this fire, Well, in the early time, I didn't have much hair on my face and all this other thing, so I never smelled. But of lately, I start to smell like, a wild animal in the bush when that fire touched my hair, because it really burns. But the technique I developed with fire, that I can play with fire in all different forms without getting burned.
We have had one incident, a big show at the Dwight York Stadium, where there was a shift in the wind, which took him by surprise. And of course it blew the flames back into his face. He had to continue his act as if nothing had happened. Somewhere we've got evidence of the kind of damage that was done that night, which took half his beard away. Petrol burns down the arm. His hands were absolutely covered. Burns, blisters, this, that, and that thing, but you would never have known any of this took place because he was professional enough to cover it up on stage. The audience were not aware of what was going on, and the only time he really started to cry was when he'd come home and said, "Shadow, but look what happened to me." More than an entertainer, Honeyjuice had garnered various life skills throughout his years. He holds certificates in sport refereeing, holstering, and shoemaking. He served as a supervisor on URP and LID projects, and as a village council president developing community roads, streetlights, water supplies, and has only just retired from the post of supervisor with the Tobago's Agriculture Food Production Department.
Yes, I was very much involved in being the president of Enterprise Village Council. We did bazaars and blockos and draft tournaments and table tennis tournaments, and the main support was my brothers and sisters and good friends. And this is my little sister. The last of how much money?
15.
I was the eldest boy of my mother and my father. They never mind me, I mind all of them. So to start with, that is a different. I was the one taking care, I was the one getting the licks for them making mistake, and I was blamed for everything. I was the leader of my father's family. In May 2015, Honeyjuice celebrated his 61st birthday and almost 40 years in show business. He was joined by family, close friends, and other entertainers that have formed his circle of loyal friends. On the night, Honeyjuice invited participants to an impromptu coconut husking competition. His good friend, Paul Prescott, and his son, Horace, answered the call. And right about now, ladies and gentlemen, when the music starts to play, you will be the judges. DJ.
Prompted Honeyjuice to declare an open international annual coconut husking competition to be held on his birthday each year to crown his successor. Everyone had a good time.
I would like to see somebody from Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, acquire the record as the fastest coconut husker in the world. There's only three things you need. You need skills, discipline, and commitment. Skills, discipline and commitment, skills in whatever area, whatever field, but you must have discipline and you must try your best to commit yourself as much as possible to that. And then you have no problem, you would achieve what you're trying to achieve.
With a brilliant future still ahead of him, Honeyjuice now wants to pass his skills to the next generation of magical acrobats. At his home, the converted sugar mill cottage in Lambo, Tobago, he has a showroom which houses wall-to-wall pictures of his family, documents of past performances, newspaper articles, and testimonials, some of which are fading with time.
After being a performer for so many years, I got the idea of saving most of my paper clipping, my posters. Every piece of document concerning my performance, I used to put it aside somewhere. It had accumulated itself so much that pictures and certificates and documents and invitations and all these other things had to be boxes. Rats start to infiltrate some of them. Water started. So I decided to get these things in the right perspective.
We are now living in the age of technology, where everything is fast, instant, this, that. What he does is a dying art. So one, we have to record it, and two, it has to be passed on to future generations.
I am hoping that instead of Honeyjuices running all over the place to perform, I am creating one spot where I would designate a special days where I'll have special activities, and also catering for all international unusual performers. So this place would have like unusual entertainment, magic and acrobatics and singing and dancing, and this is what I'm about at this point. If you are out there and you would like to have an idea to be a performer, you want to learn a piece of magic, or you want to learn a piece of acting, or you want to know the true secret of the fire act, you want me to teach you a piece of my act, I had reached the stage now that I am willing to accept you at my home and teach you.
He's now adjusting his performances. Obviously, as he gets older. How much longer is he going to be with the hospital? How much longer will he maintain the strength and endurance? How much longer can that go? So we are verging more now onto the magical side of it. Doing little hand tricks and various card tricks and making things disappear in front of your eye and all that. I can't even begin to explain it. And when he says, "Do you want to see how I do that?" No, I don't want to see. Leave me with the magic of it all. That's all. I don't want to know how it's done. It's an illusion, right? And once it remains that way, it's entertaining. What more can you watch? Right?
So if you would like to be aware, or you would like to book me for a show, whatever, check me at Sugar Mill Cottage, Lambo, Tobago. Thank you very much, and may God bless each and every one of you.